people do not unalive themselves on trees. Juliana Nazita. Black people do not go on trips on boats and then stay behind and let the people that they came with leave with their phone. Nolan Wells. Black people do not unalive themselves on trees. Kyle Besengya. Black people deserve to protect themselves when they're being attacked, especially when they have epilepsy and it could potentially cost them their lives. Carmelo Anthony. Black people do not unalive themselves on trees. Tasia Fortune. Black boys deserve to be able to cross the street wearing a hoodie and not be stopped or harassed by the police. Jesse Lopez Jr. Black people do not unalive themselves on trees. Gerard Jackson. Black people do not unalive themselves on trees. Trey Reed. There are so many other instances that I can name in this video of things happening to Black people and the math not mathing. But the point is that we need to recognize the pattern. Something is not making sense. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Black people do not unalive themselves on trees.
Good morning, y'all. Welcome to the Coffee Talk. I wanted to start this morning by making sure that these people's names, these kids, young people's names continue to be spoken. We have a tendency to, let the news fly. Let the news fly. This number is growing. This is only a fraction of the young people that have been hung in this United States that we live in. And have been determined to be suicides, no investigation. And so basically, it's like open season on us and our children. And so we have to move diligently, navigate through our days with caution. Doesn't matter where you live, where you're from. I feel like most of these people, if not all of them, were probably navigating through their day the same way they always do. So keep your eyes on the swivel, keep your neck on the swivel, and be careful. Look out for each other, y'all. This is Coffee Talk. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's Thursday. This is our last day of the week to do our coffee talk. So we're gonna get into some things. I saw this lady the other day. She young lady. I feel like it's important to see people that look like her speak on, what's going on. We make up a very small percentage of the population in this country. I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed in the people in my state. 25% of registered voters went out the other day and voted. And had a good long week of early voting available to them. That means 75% of registered voters did not bother to do it, and that's disheartening because this is going to be a very hard, long fight for us in terms of what's going to happen with this administration. Good morning to go to Africa. If the people you're around, talk to them. Find out what's keeping them from going to the polls. In my community, I would say they're probably scared of, deportation. Yeah, well, we're scared of being hung. So, everybody's scared. And, that's what the plan is, to keep us, in fear of going to the polls. And so, yeah, it's very disappointing. So I saw this young lady. I said, I feel like it's really important for people that look like her to open their mouth and talk about what's going on. And hopefully more of them have the same mindset. So I'm gonna turn it over to her because this is what I've been saying, quite often.
The president of Venezuela and his wife, and they have now been in prison for 6 months here, and also stole all of their oil and all of the money from it. And then Trump put that money in his personal bank account in Qatar. And then when they asked Marco Rubio where 13 billion of that went, he said that he'll let us know, and then never did. And now Marco Rubio runs Venezuela's finances. And then we just killed a ton of random innocent people in the Caribbean for being on boats in the Caribbean. But they're the drug cartel. They actually weren't. And then we assassinated a bunch of Iranian leaders, including their children, so that the people could take back Iran, and then gave no opportunity for the people to actually take back their power. And then instead decided to bomb the very people that they were trying to give power back to. And then just 8 months went by since releasing millions of the Epstein files, and we've seen 0 arrests here in America. It's hard to keep track of all the horrors when there's 13 new ones every day, but that is their plan. Flood the fucking system, and then nobody can focus on a few individual problems to solve them. So we keep bringing it up. We keep talking about it. We keep demanding accountability because one of these days we'll have it. And all of this shit will be documented and slapped right into our history books, baby. Because you don't know you're in a world war until it's over, bitch. And I laugh to cope because this shit is genuinely ridiculous, not because it's funny. And don't forget, bestie, you still gotta live your life. You still gotta go out there and experience joy. You still gotta connect with people and form your relationships because that is what is going to keep us together. I promise you, your joy is resistance. Follow me for more information. I'll see you next time. Remember,
Your joy is resistance. And she's right. I feel like we absolutely have to keep talking to each other. Something that we don't do. I feel like, it's just like at the job where they try to convince you that discussing things, we can't talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Keep talking. Because that's the only way for us to be informed. You said that's pathetic. Unfortunately, often the non voters are the ones who are the most affected by the election of corrupt politicians who do not look out for their best interests. It's true. It's true. Um, I have a young Puerto Rican coworker. He's 30, 31 years old, and I've watched him, I've been working with him for 10 years. So, just been with him since he was very young. Um, Ask him, was he gonna vote? This was last election, not this one that just passed, but the last election, and he was like, no, I don't get involved. So, but how, you don't get involved, and now I don't know. Like, are you feeling uncomfortable? And these are the kind of questions that we have to have. Get out and have conversations with people and see what they're actually doing. Um, I talked about it yesterday. Me and my girls, we went over our ballot. It's not that complicated. They send you a cheat sheet so you can go ahead and do your own research. Get on the Google and see what's in your best interest. And so until we start doing that, we making it real easy. We making it real easy. So I hope that people that look like this young lady keep talking because, one thing about privilege, and I'm not, one thing about privilege is you feel like you can say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it. So yeah, we gonna have to rely on the youth to make some changes out here, y'all, and it's not easy. We gonna get into the things that we do. Black excellence. At 16 years old, Caleb Smith made history. He became the youngest private glider pilot in the United States after earning his FAA license. Black excellence. Absolutely. It's been a lot of young pilots. 16 years old. When I think about like how expensive it is to like put your kids in just regular sports like football, basketball, the stuff they offer at schools. Um, how much does it cost to get your kid involved in aviation? Um, Shout out to his parents for getting him, put in a position, to become great, to become what he's supposed to be. When will young men learn that it's essential that they vote and they expect things to improve for them? It's true. Um, I'm gonna say gratefully, um, my son goes to vote. He's a whole adult, but he's been, voting for a long time now. And during, with the when all the protesting was happening after George Floyd's death, he did go out and protest. I was worried and at the same time proud that he was getting involved. Put your money where your mouth is, stand on business. So it's on us as parents to have these conversations with our kids and with our neighbors. If you're an educator, you got to be real careful about how you talk to kids. But if you're college level educator with kids that actually vote, you know what I mean, then talk to them, find out what their thought process is. The only way for us to make change is to talk to each other. If you've ever seen Black Mirror, it's definitely like insight to what the future is. It's very scary. I was watching Handmaid's Tale. I had to turn that off. I didn't have it in me to keep watching Handmaid's Tale. But the whole goal is to keep us from talking to each other. If we're not talking to each other, then we don't know what the hell, that is actually going on. You said, um, that's impressive. I'm very proud of him. Hopefully, he will inspire others to do the same. Um, his friend group, I think they're very involved. I always say he's, one of the smartest people I know. He started out that way. I'm very proud, of all three of them, that they're not afraid. Even my youngest, she's 20, and like I said, I gave her the tools. She took her sample ballot. She went in her room. She did her research, and she came back with her own point of view. I didn't want her to just copy mine and do what I do. I wanted her to get out there and learn how to make sound decisions based on her own, her own sensibilities, her own thought process. And so, yeah, we gotta keep talking. We have to keep talking. Um, it's getting scary, I think, for us over here on these type of platforms, being so careful about what we say. And I'm gonna just keep talking, child, until I can't talk no more. What else am I gonna do? But yeah, shout out to this young man. This is excellent. He definitely, this is the future. We got to keep, that mindset. This is the future. We have to keep encouraging our children to be the best that they can be, regardless of what people are saying. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, we can go a long list of things that, Black people have done. Matter of fact, I think I got it. I might end with that today, just to go on to remind us, of the things that we have done to contribute. And it's not build the country. I mean, it is, but it's not just. We were not just slaves that helped build this country. We helped build this country far beyond what slavery was. So there's that. Um, in other news, free community college expands to Michigan adults 21 and older. That's wonderful. Michigan is expanding its Michigan Reconnect Scholarship again, giving adults ages 21 to 24 access to tuition free community college alongside residents 25 and older. The state says the latest budget expand Reconnect eligibility to adults 21 through 24. An updated application is expected to be available on time for students to roll in fall class. That is awesome. Michigan Reconnect covers a district tuition, mandatory fees, required contract hours for eligible students pursuing an associate's degree or qualifying skills certificate. Students attend on out of district community college may still have to pay the difference between an in district and out of district tuition rates. The scholarship is accepted at all 28 public community college and two tribal colleges in Michigan. Michigan previously temporarily lowered the reconnect eligibility age from 25 to 21 in 2023, but the expansion closed to new 21 to 24-year-old applicants at the end of 2024. The new budget expansion brings that younger age group back into the program. I love this. I think a lot of times when you get to graduating, you don't have the money to necessarily go to bigger universities, or maybe the GPA, or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't stop you from getting continued education. So I don't have any problem. I mean, I don't want to say problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with community college. You still getting your education. You may be missing out on the university experience, but at the end of the day, like, when real life means you got young people have children, young people have responsibilities, you got a job, you may not be able to necessarily go off and be funded by your parents to go live a university lifestyle. So yeah, I think that's great that you can go to community college tuition free and work, save your money, and maybe go on to a higher learning after you get your associate's degree. You said many young kids don't go to church anymore. That's one of the places where young people were informed and encouraged to vote and participate in doing other positive things related to organizing. Well, church ain't really, I feel like, young people are disheartened by the church. The church hasn't exactly been a good example for them. And so maybe that's why they're not going. But I think there's definitely other forms of community. It's as long as people are participating in community things where, if your kids are involved in sports, then, parents talking to each other. When I grew up, you know, majority of people in my community worked for GM. So everybody knew everybody. The life, the world has changed. So we have to change along with it. Um, and if church is where you find community, that's good, but we need to find community for people that don't go to church. We need multiple places for people to learn and grow. You said we badly need that. Biden diligently work to achieve that throughout the country. What people need new skills to keep up with the changing job demands. Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with community college. Good morning, T. Good morning, Lotus Egyptian Flower. We on our Thursday thing, you know what I'm saying? We just gonna roll on through and so we can get on to the weekend. Um This is good news. We go take it where we can get it. Carmelo Anthony's new legal team won its bid to have biased state district judge John Roach Jr. removed from his murder appeal, with an outside judge now set to oversee the case going forward. Not the Roach. Not the Roach was in the courtroom making things nasty. Carmelo Anthony's new legal team successfully moved to have state District Judge John Roach Jr. removed from further proceedings as Anthony seeks a new trial and appeals his Red Rum conviction. Senior Judge Sid Harrell granted the rescue request Wednesday after Anthony's attorneys argued that Roach's post-trial public comments and handling of the proceedings raised concerns about his impartiality. Roach proceeded over the trial that ended with Anthony being convicted of Red Rum and sentenced to 35 years in prison for the 2025 STA Abbey death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Anthony's attorneys have also filed a motion for a new trial alleging several legal and constitutional errors. The outside judge is expected to oversee the next hearing on that request. We need to, just like we're talking about Nolan Wells, we need to get back in this conversation with Carmelo Anthony because, all eyes on y'all, and we got to keep talking about it. This is good news for sure. We can hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he will go free. But at the very least, we do not want to see this boy 35 years, behind bars. He's a young boy, and who knows what can happen to him under those type of circumstances. You said your holiday wish is for Carmelo to be home for the holidays. The initial trial was trashed and sentencing was excessive. Yeah, and we know it. And now we have details that kind of seems like he was probably set up, even by his little friend, his little biracial friend. You know what I'm saying? So we hoping that Carmelo does come home, because all the kids that I listed in the beginning of the live will not be coming home. So at least we got this one over here with the possibility of at least a fair trial, for goodness sakes. I saw this the other day, and so this is so strange. This is a weird story.
Mother of 5 from New York has now been missing for more than 10 days. Her name is Alyssa Goods. She disappeared while staying with a friend in Las Vegas after heading to CVS. And now her family is getting really, really worried. 2 days after Alyssa was reported missing, relatives, they started getting messages from her phone asking for cash, Bitcoin, even gas money. One problem, Alyssa doesn't drive. So who is sending those messages? Las Vegas police say missing persons investigation is underway, and that the phone seems like a pretty important place to start to me. More of Alyssa's story in today's Lucky Lemon 7 newsletter. It's on Substack. Check it out. The link is in bio. A 63-year-old grandmother of 5 from New
By the way, John Lemon was down there to the National Journalist, the Black Journalist Convention. Yeah, he down there reporting live. So thank you, Stephen, for your time. But we got Don over there doing his thing without ESPN. Back to this lady. So it says a family is desperately searching for answers after 63-year-old Elisa Goods disappeared while visiting Las Vegas. A mysterious text message later began coming from her phone. Goods, who is from Brooklyn, New York, was last seen August 8th after leaving a longtime friend's apartment to go to a nearby CVS. She never returned and was officially reported missing 2 days after. I hate that it takes 48 hours. You know what I'm saying? Come look for me now. Don't wait for 2 days. I'm in a state where I don't live and I ain't come back. According to her friend Roger John, step to the front, Roger John. Goods left his apartment around 12:45 p.m. to catch a bus. So 12:45 p.m. is the middle of the afternoon. You know what I'm saying? That's not in the middle of the night. She in the middle of the afternoon, and this is what I'm talking about when I say we just move through our lives normally, and next thing you know, you found hanging from a tree. I'm not saying that's what's going on with this lady, but it just doesn't have to be some mysterious thing. 12:45 in the afternoon. She went to catch a bus. When she failed to return, hours later, he began repeatedly calling and texting her. Her family said her phone had initially been disconnected, but on August 12th, 4 days after she vanished, messages suddenly start coming from the device. Where's the device? Do we not flocking over here in Vegas? When it's time to flock, ain't nobody flocking. I'm pretty sure there's cameras on the buses and all around, the city in Vegas, but we ain't flocking no more. Good's niece, Alana Calloway, said the person texting claimed to be stranded at a gas station because their credit card wasn't working and eventually asked for Bitcoin. That immediately raised red flags because Goods didn't have a card during the trip. Calloway even tried testing the person by mentioning a non-existent relative named Kelly, but the texter didn't question who she was. Every time the person texted back, it just felt like my heart was in my stomach because I knew it wasn't my aunt, Calloway said. Good's son, Kevin Newton, reportedly also received strange messages asking for money. Good's family said they've been contacting hospitals, jails, and coroner's offices as they continue searching for her. Calloway said police told the family Goods did not qualify as a priority missing person because she did not have a disability. Ain't that crazy? That's wild. I'm missing in a city that's not mine, but I don't qualify. I don't think there should be any qualifications. I think it's, best to just take precaution and start now. She's missing. Start looking for the lady. What is we waiting for? The family is now pleading with anyone who may have seen her or knows something about her disappearance to come forward. Just give my mother back, Newton said. I don't know what y'all got going on, but this ain't it. This is so suspicious and weird. You said hopefully those grifters who were around Carmelo's parents are no longer around them. I mean, we throw around the term friends real lightly around here. Good morning, Kiwan. This is very strange. They saying the longtime friend it's a guy friend. So I mean, what happened with your friend? The friend is a man. This is the first comment. The friend is a man. Why did he let her get on the bus alone? She's definitely a missing person now. I'm not gonna say that that's necessarily strange. Why does she get on the bus alone? It's 12 in the afternoon. Maybe you go to a new place. She might have been like, she in her 60s. I think when you get to that age, you don't feel like you need somebody to hold your hand to go do things. If you look at this picture, she seems very vivacious, 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't look like a feeble lady. She got her tracksuit on and she ready to go, do whatever it is. It's Vegas. Um, she took the bus leaving a male friend's house, at 12:45 p.m. He called hours later and her phone was cut off. Lots of questions, it's true. Where was she going? I'm surprised her male friend didn't go with her on the bus knowing she's not from here. All eyes on the male friend. That's generally where we go start, especially how we know men move around in these times. We calling them friend, hell, friend, husband, boyfriend. It don't matter. They can sometimes be the damn enemy at the same damn time. For some reason, I feel like the male friend knows more, praying for her return. So it seems like most of the people feel like her friend, what's his name, Johnny Brown. Oh, they just say that man's name was Johnny Brown. But I feel like, the friend is Roger John. Roger John. Do y'all feel like it's weird, people with two first names is suspicious? That's just me making up shit. Um you said, I hope they'll investigate her better than they have other minorities. Hopefully, people will continue to talk about her and not forget about her case. She's a gorgeous 63-year-old woman. She is. That's what I said. She don't look feeble. I don't think it's strange that, she went out. You know what I'm saying? Roger John, let's talk to Roger John. You know, right now he's just a name on a piece of paper. We want to see, the people. Don is spending a lot of time. Don Lim is spending a lot of time making sure that Nolan Wells' name stays in the public. Don, you were the first one over here saying this is strange. So can we go over here and find out more about what's going on with this lady? The fact that they still have this rule in place that it's not missing until it's 48 hours. If you have a teenager and they're like, she probably ran away. I don't care if she ran away. Go find her. It's not safe out there. You know what I mean? So when you call and say somebody's missing, I feel like it should be immediately addressed. This lady is from Brooklyn. She's not from here. She left the house hours ago. She's not answering her phone. And then they're asking for Bitcoin. That's so weird. I got an email one time. It was, funny to me. I got an email one time saying if I don't send $2,000 worth of Bitcoin, which I don't have any Bitcoin. I don't know where to go get them. I don't have any interest in Bitcoin, but I was told in this email, if I didn't send $2,000 worth of Bitcoin, they were going to release this footage of me doing nefarious things within my house. And, they were going to release it to my friends. And I was like, go ahead, child. Because what my friends are going to see is going to bore them. I don't have any secret things that I'm doing in my house. But they were like, they're going to see your pathetic life. And I was like, I beg your pardon. My life is not pathetic. But yeah, I did get a semi weird, and this was a couple of years ago, ransom note about having my, private time inside my house released. So that never happened, but this is serious. This lady is missing, and you know, seemingly the Las Vegas police department don't see any urgency. So we're gonna have to start taking care of our own. We're gonna have to start taking care of our own. We're gonna keep talking about this lady, Savannah Gentry. We don't know where your mama is, but we want to find out what happened to Miss Lisa. So let's turn in these camera footage, since the police can follow their ex-wives and girlfriends and things and boyfriends and things. We want to get the flock out, for God's sakes. And keep your eye on Roger Bob. Roger John. I hope she doesn't have an encounter with some bad folks at the casinos. Could have, but one thing we do know is she was supposed to be going to the CVS. So, we know don't nobody be in the CVS. They be in there by their damn self. I would never work at a CVS. It'd be you in that big ass drugstore by yourself. When you go to CVS, you barely see anybody. And around here, there is no cashiers. You just cash yourself out. So you never know who's watching. You just have to be very careful. I feel like CVS, that's a very public area. The bus, like there's camera footage everywhere that lady went. So let's start looking for it. Let's start with that bus and the CVS. Where does she get off the bus? That footage is absolutely there. We know it is because hell, they got everything else. They didn't follow the lady across the country because she was going to get an abortion and brought her back because her boyfriend got mad. Like they go find what they want to find. So, somebody get out here, all of these celebrities that be donating things. Beyonce, Jay-Z, hey, can the Carter family come catch these flock cameras? Because they owe us something. We mad at them right now. We're gonna keep an eye out. We're gonna keep this story going because she lived to 63 lovely years, and we don't want to see the end. We don't want that. We want answers. We want to know that she's okay somewhere. Gary, Indiana, going through it. People aren't talking about it though.
In the dark. I know a lot of people don't like to hear me curse, but things just keep getting worse and worse. We are now under a boil advisory. I was informed by someone at the sanitation district that the longer we don't have power, the less they're going to be able to basically filter and clean the water. So we need to boil everything on the stove with no power. My name's Aja, and I'm still in the dark. I know a lot of
how we gonna do a food tour in the Midwest and Gary ain't had no power and ain't nobody talking about it? I, for one, have not seen anybody else outside of Gary, Indiana, talk about what's going on in Gary, Indiana. And I don't like it. And if you know me, I put my money where my mouth is. So today alone, we've been on the phone with the mayor's office to see if there's ways we can get involved. We've been on the phone with Salvation Army to see if we can get a Salvation Army truck and just drive around and pass out necessities, goods, anything that we can get our hands on. How we gonna do a food tour in the Midwest and Gary ain't had no power and ain't nobody talking? Now I'm not only making this video to say, if you in Indiana and you know any ways we can get involved, please let me know. I'm also making this video to say, I think this should be national news. And it's crazy to me that it's not being talked about. All the stuff y'all talk about on social media nowadays, everybody got a think piece on everything. Why not a think piece on the fact that communities that look like myself been out with power for 8 days? Now I'm not only making this video to say, if you in
I live in Gary, Indiana, but it's been over 240,000 people without power. No lights, no Wi-Fi, can't charge your phone. It's women taking cold showers. Everybody refrigerators off. It's restaurants closed. My neighbor's been barbecuing meat every night, and his kids outside playing, having fun. It's fucked in the dark because there's no school. I live in Gary, Indiana, but it's been over 240,000.
Thugged it out through the whole 7 days. And I didn't want to get a hotel because I didn't know how long this was going to last. And I wanted to save as much money as I could just to, just in case. Because you just never know how much money you're going to need because how long this tragedy going to go on. So on the 7th day, I finally bought a hotel room, right? It was power. We went where the power was, right? No storm, no nothing. The power went out in here. Thugged it out through the whole.
Last night got really crazy. There were a lot of pew-pew shots right outside of my door. We actually just heard some coming in. So guess what we did? We went to Bass Pro Shop and got some. But just in case you didn't know, it is pitch black dark still in this house everywhere, actually. You don't even street a street light, do you? Last night got really crazy.
We are currently day 7. No power. Don't even know when our power is going to be restored at this point because the time keep changing. But let me show y'all how dark it is. There we go. Completely dark. It's not safe. People are breaking in people's houses and everything. We are currently day 7.
If the entire Los Angeles County, we're talking about Compton, Malibu, Hollywood, if all of that had no power, it's all you would hear about. That's all. If the entire metropolitan New York area did not have power right now, there would be nothing else you would be hearing about. But because this is an area with primarily black and brown folk, you barely even know about this. If the entire Los Angeles...
I feel like they trying to test us. Trying to see how crazy of some crash outs we can get. It's day 8, no power. I'm hearing everything going on.
News is not reaching people. It seems like the only videos that are getting reach are from people who are affected immediately by the situation. For some context, you guys, it's now been 8 days that most of Northwest Indiana has not had any power, and this has caused gas shortages and just closed gas stations due to this event. Gary, Indiana still has no power. Looting is beginning, and they're deploying the National Guard down there. News is not reaching people. It seems like the only videos that are getting reach are from people who are affected immediately by the situation.
So 8 days after a severe storm tore through northwest Indiana, thousands of Gary residents remain without electricity, and people living through the outage say the situation is becoming increasingly difficult to endure. As of Tuesday, August 18th morning, 2,984 Northern Indiana Public Service Company customers in Gary were still without power, according to the Chicago Crusader. Across NIPSCO's broader area, the service company reported Wednesday, August 19th, that 87,745 customers across the service area remain without electricity, with more than 282,000 customers restored since the storm began. Gary is predominantly black city, with black residents making up 84%. Wow. Well, there's your answer. For residents documenting aftermath on social media, the prolonged outage is about to be more than a number. It's a spoiled food, dark streets, sweltering homes, uncertainty over when normal life will return. The power restoration effort has also been complicated by violence. NIPSCO's paused storm restoration work in Gary after a utility vehicle was struck by pow fire while crews were working. Are you serious? Friday night, according to WTHR. For residents already waiting for days for residents already waiting days for electricity, the pause has added to the frustration. As residents continue to navigate outages, local outlets are tracking resources available to help them through the recovery. Capital B Gary has who is Capital B Gary? Capital B Gary has compiled information on storm relief efforts, including free food, oxygen refills, cleanup assistance, and other resources for residents. The outlet also reported that Gary branch of the NAACP, in partnership with NIPSCO, was providing free meals for residents. Still, residents insist assistance does not erase the reality of living day after day without basic utilities. That's crazy. I know that happened here. Let me see what you guys are saying. It's been a whole conversation going on. Let's see. You say they might not find footage if she didn't take the bus or other public transportation. Well, then I guess we got to go back to Roger John. You said, well, hold up, Keith. If they don't have power, then the content creator can't. Well, I mean, he's just saying that the news isn't talking about it. I guess Keith, he was going to go on a tour. You're talking about Keith Lee. He was going to go on a tour over there, but, since there's no power, so I think Keith is doing what he can do to at least help provide, the people with food and water. If I were there, I would find a Daryl from the Walking. Listen, this is very hard. You said, why did the power go out? Because they had a bad storm. in Indiana. That happened here, during hurricane season. And this is the thing about that. And it was definitely a week, maybe more than a week, where some people were without power. I know I had power where I lived. Where my son was living, there was no power. And what started happening, first of all, it's hurricane season in Florida. So during the day, it's 100 degrees, feels like, inside your house. So there's no air conditioning. So the people, the refrigerator, and then some people, you're without running water. So you can't flush your toilet. And then if you do, the poop starts coming up through the shower, and it's a horrible thing. And 8 days, that's a long time. Like, restaurants are closed. I know around here, hurricane season, when there's power outages like that, you can't get gas, you can't get water. So thankfully, I've never suffered through it. I've been lucky enough to live in places where the power was put back on, and you can see convoys. They send power companies out. You know, I would say more than likely to restore power in the most affluent neighborhoods, and then it trickles down to the people that don't have. That's generally how that works. So 84% black, yeah, they're in no hurry to get it, and I don't know, like it was one hell of a storm. That's all I can say. But after 8 days, something needs to be done. The kids can't go to school. School just started. Nobody's talking about it. The news media failed the poor, underserved, and minorities a long time ago. At this time, we must rely on independent journalists like Don Lemon and Joy Reid to inform us about issues that affect us. That's what I was saying earlier, to go to Africa. Like, we got to look out for ourselves. We got to, go to Las Vegas with our own investigations and find out, what's going on, with this lady. We're going to have to get out there and convoys of trucks to make sure that these people, but hell, it's still summer. It's still hot in Indiana. I'm sure it's still hot up north. So, just like in Florida during the day, these people are suffering. They're going to have to drive to somewhere, and then to get a hotel room in this economy, people can barely afford groceries. So, how you just going to stay somewhere? And here, because we have hurricanes, there are shelters, you know what I'm saying, that you can go to. But this is Indiana. I'm sure they don't just have random shelters that they can go to. But to go to Africa, you brought up churches. This would be a good time for the churches to set up shelters for the people, you know what I'm saying, to be able to go find somewhere, some relief. And then a lot of times at those shelters, other bad things start happening. So, let's keep talking about Indiana. I guess we just gonna have to, share it. Oh, you on Instagram, just hit the repost so things can keep floating through the algorithm. So, at least people are not just over there and nobody's talking about it. We should have stopped relying on the news a long time ago, because they've been lying, and they keep on making up bigger lies and bigger lies. They can't send help, but they can send National Guard for looting. Yeah, yeah. They can send help. They don't care. And you know what their priority is. We was worried about that when Canada said they was going to cut off power. And I think we are living on borrowed time as far as that concern is, as far as power is concerned. Every person in every city in the United States, with the exception of those who live in very wealthy neighborhoods, and hopefully this stuff starts happening over there with them. So, we can get things, more balanced. Sad our country doesn't have FEMA anymore. Who's the reason behind that? Who's responsible for that? Child. Politicians who the people voted for should be standing up and asking for relief for the people. Well, I mean, over here in Florida, 75% of the people didn't even get their asses up and go vote. So, This is the stuff we're talking about. They don't care. We don't care. Our vote don't count. And then when something like this happens, then, you want to get up and be, I'm not talking about the people in Indiana. I'm saying in general, you don't want to get your ass up and go vote. And then when something like this happens, you want to be, oh my God, what are they going to do? You don't care. They don't care. That's for damn sure. That's one of those consequences people who neglect. That's exactly what I just said, to go to Africa. That's that's one of the consequences people who neglected to go vote are facing. They never consider that something like this will happen to them. That is exactly what I just said, to go to Africa. We on the same wavelength this morning. Priority is building $40+ million ballroom. Meanwhile, 2 miles from the White House, you'll find homeless everywhere. I low key feel like they like it. I low key feel like they get a rise out of seeing homeless people. It makes them feel even more superior. That's how their sick minds work. Look at the peasants. That's how they like it. If there's no peasants, then how are they going to feel good about themselves? Here's another story.
The year after year loss of this has been the burden, but we're going to make it do. Along with my family, they're supporting me, and my mom's the one feeding me these days.
What should be a profitable harvest for a Fresno County farmer has instead become a financial loss after an ongoing legal battle blocked him from selling his crop. But despite the hardship, Cesar Mora has turned things around by deciding to feed hundreds of people for free instead of letting the fruit rot.
I was just trying to do what I felt was right and not waste food, not waste fruit. It's obvious that people enjoyed it because they're out here lining up for it, even waiting an hour to get it.
Mora says the response has been chaotic in the best way. He never expected it.
I drove all the way from Sacramento to come here to help my dad.
The farmer's son says people were already showing up 2 hours early, even before staff got there Wednesday morning. He says a handful of strangers offered to volunteer.
It was amazing to see.
John and Roseanne Yanes traveled from Carruthers. They say they wanted to give Mora a cash donation, but he turned it down.
It's a nice thing they're doing, and too bad that they're going through what they're going with.
I think it would be nice just to have a tip jar, but I understand where he's coming from.
I have sending cease and desist letters trying to shut this down and insisting that I let the fruit rot on the tree. Honestly, I'm not okay with that. I don't understand their purpose behind it.
But that act of generosity is now facing pushback.
God's going to bless him tremendously. I believe he will, because what we give, it always comes back double. So just leaving it in God's hands all the time.
With plenty of people still showing up.
The year after year loss of this has been.
So this is the story behind that. Farmer Cesar Mora attracted massive crowds after giving away thousands of nectarines for free amid a legal dispute with Gamura Brothers Fruit Company. Gamura claimed exclusive rights to the variety of Mora grew and sued him. So I guess they own the seeds. They own for allegedly breaching their contract. Mora said the company blocked him from packaging or selling the fruit, so he gave it away instead. After a 3-hour deliberation, a jury found Mora had breached a contract but ruled that he did not owe Gamora any money. Now Mora has been ordered to destroy all of his nectarine trees by October. His attorney says they plan to appeal. Mora said, "How can I have a company going out and trying to find small growers to sign them up for programs like this where all they do is harm me?" So I guess there's a certain breed of these fruit trees. It says Gamora claimed executive rights to the variety Mora grew. So they claiming that they the strand of nectarines that he's growing, they're claiming that they own the rights to. This is wild. So instead of him being able to sell it, they want him to just let it rot. I don't know why they do that. Good morning, Jaguar. I don't know why they do that. Grocery stores, restaurants, instead of taking they, leftover or fruit that's not, desirable necessarily to the people that are purchasing it, why don't they take it to churches and take it to shelters so the people can eat? They don't do that. They destroy it. There's tons and tons and tons of fabric and clothing that designers have abandoned in mines because they would rather destroy it than discount it because they don't want it to ruin their brand. The thought process of corporation is, when the church folks talk about the devil, that's the devil right there. If you ask me, people with this type of moral compass that they would rather see people starve, they want to find him for giving the food away. And the people tried to tip him. I think legally he couldn't take it. They said he refused. Somebody wanted to donate money. He said no. And I think probably because he would have gotten into trouble if he took any money, because it would be considered selling it. So they're trying to control, how we grow our food. That's going to be an issue soon. Watch what I tell you. This is good news. I mean, it was bad news, but it ended up being good news. Atlanta sisters found safe after the babysitter allegedly abducted them. Mother believes woman had been plotting to steal her kids. Child, you can't even trust a babysitter. 2 Atlanta sisters are safe after police found them Monday with the babysitter, Lakeisha Brown, ending a search that began after she allegedly failed to return them from a Saturday outing. Oof. Their mother, Alicia Redding, met Brown in a Facebook mothers group. I often see, like, in my community group, and you'll see, like, hey, I'm a single mom and I'm looking for friends. And I'm like, is that how we do that these days? I would be so leery of something like that. I trusted her, but she broke that trust, she said to WSB-TV. Redding recalled she came over on Saturday and she asked me if she could take the kids out for a day. Well, the babysitter is asking to take the kids, I guess. If she could take the kids out for a day out, and I told her, yes, she could. When Brown did not return, Redding said, claimed to crash. Wait a minute. When Brown did not return, Redding said Brown claimed a crash delayed them. She said they were at a standstill on 285 and a semi truck had hit them. Hit them, Redding said. When I called all the children's hospitals and adult hospitals, they weren't in the system. Redding texted, where are my kids? And later, please give me back my kids. Please bring my kids back. Police traced Brown to Sylvan Road. They heard the sound of babies crying. Lieutenant Christopher Butler said officers found both girls safe. Brown was accused of kidnapping a 4-day-old baby in Alabama in 2021. So she go on these Facebook groups looking for somebody's children to steal. Redding said, I feel like she was just plotting to take my kids the whole time. Yeah, she was. So I got the footage of the kids being rescued. I think that's so dangerous to be looking at a Facebook group for daycare. It's scary enough taking them to the damn daycare. You just don't trust some lady from a Facebook group, because why? That doesn't make, I mean, I'm sure she regrets it now, but at what cost, for goodness sakes? This is getting rescued.
Hey, we got both colors. We got both colors. Give them cover. Give them cover. Come on, G. There we go. There we go. 1, 2. Yeah. Contact. Show me your hands. Hands. Kids. Female to the far left. Female to the far left. Where? Do not move! Hey, man, call out to us. Keisha! Cover that door. Cover that door. Stand to top. Stand to top. Stand to top. Listen. We're trying. Hey. Listen, Keisha, put your fucking hands up. Put your hands up. Santa, do me a favor. Let's go. Grab the kids. Maybe we can stand up with you. Up with you. Don't move or I will shoot you. I got the baby. Don't move. This baby back. You got the baby? Alright, stay where you are. Keep your hands up. You're alright. Here. Come on, baby. He's good. He's good. I got it. Hey, I got pepper ball ready. Okay, I'm getting up. I'm getting up. I got her other hand. I'm trying to get my legs stuck. My legs are stuck. That's why I'm asking you. All right. Can I get? Hold
on. So I guess over freaking.
Hey, we got both cutters. We got both cutters.
She done took the babies and got them in a trailer. Thank goodness they got these kids back. You just can't trust people. You just never know what they're going to be up to. What on earth does she plan to do with the children? I don't know, but they said she had kidnapped children in 2021. I would say don't go to a Facebook group in order to find your daycare. Also, I think if you're going to have a babysitter, it needs to be somebody you know for real. You know what I mean? Otherwise, just put your kids in childcare. Nannies and things, they go through a vetting process, I know, but I hear too many horror stories. I was blessed. I didn't have to worry about that. My mother was retired, so she was able to, be my childcare until they were school age. And, I'm in the position now to do the same for my grandchildren. So, yeah, it would be a daycare situation for me because there's other people there to regulate what's going on. The daycares, they have video cams where you could go ahead and see what's going on during the day with your children. It's just you just can't trust people. And then our Facebook group, I wouldn't trust nobody to come fix my car, let alone babysit my children. She might have been trying to sell them or she's mentally not right. Well, she's definitely mentally not right. But then that means the mother didn't have good discernment. You know what I'm saying? To let somebody, I think it's not normal. This is just me. I think it's not normal for the babysitter to be like, hey, can I come take the kids on Saturday? I think, this is a job. I'm here, I'm at work during the week or whatever my schedule is, and I'm not with my children. So you think that, I just would be on pause for that, unless it's something that we talked about. But I don't feel like most babysitters are looking to take your kids on the days off unless it's like a family situation. Which, why are you bringing other kids? I don't know. It just don't sound right to me. Just be careful. They're doing too much. Too much. You said you need to be heavily vetting anyone you're bringing around your children. Absolutely. And like I said, daycare is scary enough, but at least there, it's not just some person with your kid. It's, people around. There's video camera around. It just feels like a safer situation. Your first thought was sexual abuse. It could have been, but I think the lady is just nuts. There's some people that just, since she did it before, maybe she wanted kids, but like, what kind of life? You in a trailer with them children in the dark. They locked in there. The people had to come knock the lock off with a brick. So, the good news is these babies are back at home. So, I'm sure that's one scare that mother never, ever, ever wants to experience again. I bet you she keep her eyes on them kids from now on. That's a baby. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I can't imagine. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Our girl, Angela Bassett, made history as the highest paid Black actress in broadcast television, earning $450,000 per episode on 911. And 911 got a lot of episodes. That's a lot of 450Ks that Angela Bassett was getting deposited in her bank account. Angela Bassett reached a major television pay milestone after reportedly securing more than $450,000 per episode for her starring role in the hit drama 911. The deal, reported in 2021 ahead of the show's fifth season, was believed to be among the highest salaries in network television at the time and potentially the highest ever for a Black actress or actress of color on a broadcast drama series. Bassett's compensation also covered responsibilities beyond acting. She helped develop 911 and served as an executive producer on both the flagship series and the spin-off series 911 Lone Star. The reported salary placed Bassett among the television's highest paid performers and represented a significant benchmark for Black women in broadcast television. Bassett later said her goal throughout her career had been to work consistently, be paid fairly, and help pave the way for greater equality for others. Okay, well, you know what? We give Miss Angela a lot of accolades. We glad for her. Her bank account is full. Angela, it's a lady in Las Vegas that's missing. Can you use some of that money maybe to help us, do some investigating since the people are not gonna do it? You know what I'm saying? When we hear about Black folks making a lot of money, we're going to give Angela a round of applause because we think that is great news to know that this lady was, getting her bank as she deserves. Now let's take some of that money, Angela, and put it back because I hear a lot, about Angela and her, acting abilities. I think she's definitely one of our faves. Angela, we want to see and hear about some of the philanthropy and good works that you're doing within the community. She's worked hard and long to finally get what she deserves. I agree. We love us some Angela Bassett. There is no doubt about that. Angela, we love you, girl. But we gonna have to, start putting our money. And when I say our money, I mean her money, because I haven't got any deposits lately for 450,000. But yeah, shout out to Angela. We love to hear it. We want to see her, get all the things that she deserves. We want to see this lady leave Miss Rachel alone. The CIA has placed Miss Rachel on the national watch list Wednesday, just the other day. After 2-year investigation concluded, she commands the largest, most obedient force ever assembled on American soil. Really? She's a national threat. Miss Rachel is a national threat. This is how we're a joke. Icky, 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 sticky bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. That's what makes her a threat? My baby loves Miss Rachel, child. And that's the thing. She got the babies in the chokehold. Why? Because she speaks their language. What are they worried about? What is she gonna, somehow subliminally, ooh, I couldn't get that out. Subliminally form an army of toddlers that are gonna do what? It doesn't make sense. She's a national threat, said the CIA director while standing in front of a wall labeled assets under her control. Really? 40 million, ages 1 to 4. So I wasn't wrong. They're worried about the 1 to 4-year-olds coming to take over what? The government? Stop it. Understand what we're dealing with. I can't. Understand what we're dealing with. She says, can you say it? And they say it. All of them. It's ridiculous. They say what? Hop, little bunny, hop, 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 hop. Then stop. We say it too all day long around here. We do. Is that what they're worried about? I'm sorry, I can't. They weren't worried about her until she starts speaking up for the community. Every time, no intelligence service in history has ever achieved 100% compliance rate, and she does in a pink headband. We sent our best man. We sent our best man in undercover. He was gone 8 months. He came back, looked at me in the eye, and said, "Hop, little bunnies," and we had to retire him. Why? Okay. This is so stupid. If she ever asked those kids for nuclear codes, okay, all we can do is hope the codes have too many syllables. The 3 analysts reportedly confirmed that she is fully aware of the surveillance because she looked directly into the traffic camera, waved, and said, "I see a helicopter." Wave helicopter. I added that part to my statement. Listen, how would 1 to 4 year olds have nuclear codes? I can't believe they saying that out loud, child. That sounds crazy. She's a national threat. That's what they said. They said she's a national threat. Boy, I'm so glad I don't live in America. Well, child, we concerned about ourselves. We happy for you too. Y'all have been swallowed whole by the state who shall not be named. She wasn't a problem until she wanted Palestine to be free. Yep. And she said free Palestine, and she said the black kids is being treated differently. She said, she spoke up about Nolan Wells. They had the audacity to have a meeting where somebody was supposed to be under the control of Hop Little Bunny. That's the danger. That's the danger. She has an army of 1 to 4 year olds that repeat her. Yes. Red. Can you say red? Isn't that what we were doing like when we were kids? I'm 58 years old and I still remember a loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. Come on. Many of us wish we did not live in America. Yeah, Jaguar, we all try to figure out our exit plan. We grateful for these young people that's getting their pilot's license because we might be relying on them to get us the hell up out of here. I don't understand. I feel like this is probably one of the biggest distractions. And Miss Rachel, be careful out there, girl. Y'all keep an eye on Miss Rachel. For the people that are around her, you need to hire some security, Miss Rachel. Check with Jasmine. Jasmine knows Jasmine Crockett. She knows some people in the streets, you know what I'm saying, that will, maybe be able to fill that security position. But this is insane. The CIA, the president and his cronies are over there snatching children and taking them to an island, you know what I'm saying, and doing nasty things to them. But we over here chilling and building ballrooms and things, like you said. But Miss Rachel is a threat because she's teaching the kids their colors and their numbers. I watch Miss Rachel many times a day, many times. It doesn't work so much anymore, but yeah, my grandson still he liked Miss Rachel. Not a fan of Gracie's Corner so much. I've tried. I think Gracie's Corner is just visually, I think it appeals probably to the older children. He's still under 2 years old. He likes Mika. Mika is much like Miss Rachel. Yeah, so he likes Bluey. There's certain, things, colors and things like that. This is probably the silliest and most, one of the most corrupt things that our government is wasting time on. They're upset that Miss Rachel has control over the children. And she damn sure do. Now, what we need to worry about, I guess, is these 4 year olds with nuclear codes. I don't know who gave them the nuclear codes, but if they got it, Miss Rachel gonna be able to get it. And then what is she gonna do? Child. She's a woman. So there's that. Speaking of women, Tia Kemp, Tia Kemp, she's a hot ass mess. She's like a guilty pleasure for some of us out here, to see her on a would talk about read a bitch. Tia Kemp will read a bitch. But she's over here, 49 years old, and was recently surprised after getting proposed to by her new 23-year-old boyfriend. Congratulations, I guess. I mean, girl. This man still just barely needs a babysitter. I mean, she was with Rick Ross. If you don't know, Tia Kemp was one of Rick Ross's exes. It says Tia Kemp, 49, says yes to 23-year-old boyfriend. Age is just a number. As somebody who has been in a relationship with a significantly younger man. 23 is ridiculous. I don't know. Like, I think there's a line. He's grown, but what does that lifestyle look like? Like, 23, he just getting started. You engaged, he's going to want children and child. We won't worry about it. We were, will they get to the altar? Is he okay? We worried about Miss Rachel. What is Miss Tia over here singing to the young men? Tia Kemp, 49, got engaged to her 23-year-old boyfriend. A 26-year age gap, and they're locking it down. Does she have kids? How old is her kids? Tia, 49, was recently surprised with a proposal from her 23-year-old boyfriend. She said yes, and the couple is now engaged. News has sparked mixed reactions online. Some are celebrating, others are side-eyeing. I mean, he grown, I guess. That's all I can say about that. I'm not sure what do you do with a 23-year-old boyfriend? Play Call of Duty? Um, I don't know. You said, I guess she does not have any problems with being a sugar mama. He's young enough to be her son. I would not want to date someone my son's age. Well, I had an ex that was like not that far from my son's age, but he was not 23. We talk about 40s. We talk about somebody in their damn 40s who has, lived a life, had children, and yeah. I feel like, honestly, and I can only speak for myself, I never even imagined seeing myself in a relationship with somebody much younger than me. However, like I said, we were talking about people. I'm talking about a man that's over 40, not somebody that's 23 years old. So the age difference in my relationship, definitely there's like music references and movie references that you get a reality check with. Oh, sorry. But for somebody who is 23 years old, hasn't lived his life, I don't know. They're engaged. What you say? Congratulations, Yunty. That's all you can say, child. I wouldn't say it to her face because I wouldn't want that lady to read me down the way I see her reading the folks down to the internet. But yeah, just when you think this is a thing. Like, this is a generation of young men that love them an older woman. I don't attract men necessarily my own age, but I do younger men, and they just like take it as a challenge. Even when you be like, "Boy, get out of here," they take it as a challenge. Like, I don't know. There was a trend on TikTok at one point with all these good-looking young men talking about how they prefer an older woman. Um, I was definitely not twice his age. That's what I said. When I was out, in the dating scene, and I would run into someone that didn't have children, that wasn't an option for me. Like, if I met a man that didn't have any kids, I wasn't going to push any further because I wasn't about to have no more kids. And I feel like there's a certain point in your life where you have life to live still. By the time you get in your 40s, I think things start balancing out and you start, wanting the same things in life. You know what I'm saying? Settling down and that kind of thing. Nobody wanting no kids, but yeah, Tia over here, she down shit to the college campus. He's definitely like, do he pick up his socks off the floor? You said Tia wants a man to do for her, right? I'm not arguing with Floridians. Like, yeah, girl, Lotus, I'm with you. I'm a Floridian, but I am not getting in no, congratulations, Tia. That's all I can say. We'll see how that works out. She's out here having fun. Like, I don't know anything about the man, but when Rick Ross is your ex, ew. Is it an upgrade? Because he act like a 23-year-old. And that's the thing. Rick Ross be out here with these young girls. That's what he like. He like them real young, straight off the, high school court. So, what's good for the goose, I suppose. This poor boy looked like he don't know. He looked like he don't know what he's getting himself into. His mother hates this lady. His mother hates her because if I was his mother, I would hate her. I would. I would just not want any of this for my son. You said you'll argue with Stephen A. Smith. I mean, that's easy. There's not much you could say. All he gonna do is spit all over himself, trying to read off his resume. Um, yeah, child. So we down to the did she buy her engagement ring? That phone. He wasn't even born when phones look like that. The phone in that picture, she got one of them big old school phones. I'm guessing I think you could buy those things and put your actual cell phone in it and it works, like a phone. But yeah, he wasn't even born when we was carrying those phones. That phone older than he is. That's funny. Um, You said my hormones were out of control was when I was in my 40s, but but it's still possible to find someone to handle your needs who is your own age. She rolling out of her 40s, first of all, to go to Africa. I would agree with that. And like I said, clearly based on my own experiences, I have no problems with dating younger. That's just too young, child. What is the conversation even? I don't know. What are we talking about? Like I said, Call of Duty, because I listen to my kids and, they're not talking about nothing I want to talk about, child. Um, let's see. I had another one for us to talk about before we get out of here. I done clicked out of everything. Let me set it all back up again. So I have seen these pictures going around. And so this young lady, I'll start with her take on it and then we could talk about it.
These front wigs and the lashes and the acrylic nails. Have you seen it? Because just want to say that I got these off of their public pages, okay? These photos have been circulating online. There are videos circulating with these girls online, but I'm choosing to blur out their faces as much as I can just for privacy purposes, even though I understand that these are public pictures, but I just don't feel right putting little girls up on social media like that. But I need to provide an example of what I'm talking about, okay? Because if you haven't seen it, your algorithm's blessing you. And if you have seen it, Lord, all right, my brain's going in a lot of different directions, but let's talk about it. And let's talk about it in two. Let me funnel my thoughts into two main directions. Direction number one, a lot of comments where people are saying, especially other women, are saying, I don't see anything wrong with this. She looks cute. She's happy. She's got a high self-esteem. She's feeling herself. This is good. This is how she builds confidence, all that kind of stuff. And I want to push back on that really hard because that's not a little girl acting confident. That's a little girl acting like what she thinks a confident woman looks like. Those preteen years are so formative, right? Think about back to your middle school years. You have to go through the awkward stuff and feel like the ugly duckling in order to build a sense of humor and grit and like personality, right? You've got to bake the cake before you put the icing on because that's what makeup and wigs and all that stuff is. It's extra. It's icing to the cake. It's accoutrement, right? It's decorative. It's not who you are. It shouldn't be who you are. It shouldn't be what your personality, character, it shouldn't be what you're built on. Direction number two, and this one's spicier. Everybody should agree that men should not be looking at little girls like that, right? In that way, right? You know what I'm talking about. So why are we dressing them? Why are we dressing little girls like little women? Because let's be honest about what these things do. Let's start with mascara or fake eyelashes or whatever, right? It's to make your eyes look bigger, okay? The lip gloss, it's to draw attention to your mouth, all right? Even blush, which seems harmless, right? You're like, oh, a little bit of blush. It's to symbolize fertility, vitality, okay? So why does the little girl need to be putting that on her face? And I don't think most parents are doing this on purpose, by the way. I think it's just ignorance. And I say this all the time, that we judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge other people by their actions. So a mom thinks, oh, she just looks really cute, but cute for who? Now, I'm not saying that every man is looking at a 12-year-old little girl, but what I am saying is that some of them are. And so why are we making this job easier for them? Have you seen the middle school girls with the lace front wigs?
Okay, so when I first heard her talking, she kept saying middle school. Um, and I was like, middle school? I mean, I guess middle school is kind of where that stuff starts. Um, you're what, middle school, 13, 14 years old. And so you might start allowing your daughter to, and within reason, get your nails done. Maybe what do you want to do for your birthday? I want to get my nails done. What do you want to do, for this party or holiday time? I want to get my hair done. We're talking about middle school. This is not middle school though. So let me pull it up. These little girls, because I initially, like, I'm hearing what she's saying, and I try to not be in a place of judgment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and there's a line, I feel like, between too much and when it comes to kids, and how you allow them to grow. Like she said, you got to bake the cake. You allow the ingredients in. Painting your nails. I feel like with makeup, the first step is usually lip gloss. It's steps to this thing. She kept saying middle school, and I was like, I feel like middle school is not. It's not crazy. I wasn't really understanding, her issue with the situation. But these little girls are not middle school. These little girls are in second grade. So that changes, the perception for me. That changes. It says the first second grader is 1996. That looks like second grade. This other young lady, she got a whole frontal, like the bangs and the ponytail, and I feel like she's got little nails on in the second grade. Um, what are the comments saying? Times have changed, and they both look like second graders. I mean, they do, but I'm hoping you're not defending that this little girl has on a full wig, and it's not even like the extensions. Like I said, it's a line. Like, you can fix their hair, make them, especially when you're talking about getting the kids up in the morning and everything. But this is a whole situation. This is a lot of hair for this little girl, and the nails. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. And maybe I'm judging, but I feel like it's definitely a setup. It's definitely a setup for I don't know. For your child to have to handle more than they need to handle in the second grade. It says fast women create fast women create fast women. I don't like that term fast, so I'm not even going to get into that. The wig is beyond ridiculous. It's a lot. Like, and when she said something about building your self-confidence, I don't necessarily agree with this being a self-confidence builder. I think it's definitely it's not allowing you to be confident in, your natural self. I see creativity in both pictures. I think the 90s were very urban and today is very trendy. The little girl in the 90s version is not wearing a full wig. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot going on in this world. Y'all be careful. Keep an eye on your children. I think it's a bad idea to, you know, let's don't grow them up too fast. Let's just don't let them participate. Like I said, middle school is one thing, but second grade, that's a whole lot. And you go get a lot of adult energy from that young child because of how she's being allowed to present. Um, you said not every parent is putting pressure on their child to look like a made up doll. Most parents of good caliber are working on helping their children focus on schoolwork. It's second grade. It's second grade. That's a lot for second grade. Y'all have a good weekend. Be careful out there. Look out for your children. Look out for each other. Make sure we're having conversations so we can get our counterparts to get off their ass and go to the polls. We're in a very, hard, strange, dangerous times. And so we got to look out for each other, y'all. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back Saturday for some Project Runway. In the meantime, be careful out there.